And we are at T-minus 2 hours, 20 minutes, 28 seconds and counting as we see Commander Steve Lindsay entering Space Shuttle Discovery. First member to enter traditionally is the commander, and astronaut support person Kay Heyer will assist him into his seat, help configure his communications gear. And not too long from now, we'll be opening up the communications links, and we'll be able to hear Steve Lindsay speak to the Launch Control Center and to Mission Control in Houston.
Mike Barrett on board at this time.
And that's OVCC Travis Thompson announcing that Barrett has passed the threshold and is now in the crew module.
18:39 GMT. PC copied. OTC, OVCC. Go ahead. TLT Bo on board at this time. Copy that. GMT of 18:49.
And I see pilot Bo sliding feet first through the interdeck access onto the flight deck, where he'll be assisted into his PLT seat. Here's a good shot from the window looking left across the flight deck as he comes up to his seat. That's the parachute laying down on top of the seat at the moment.
So the parachute is already in place.
Yes, we put the parachutes on the seat first, and then we put a harness on the crewman, and now he's being assisted up into his seat. He's got to get his feet around the hand controller and stick his feet in the footwell. And I see the chute has moved a little. The chute is on a Teflon sheet that allows it to move around, so they can get the chute right where they want it. Then they pull that Teflon sheet out, and the Velcro sticks, and it stays put.
Nicole giving a sign to her family and preparing to board Space Shuttle Discovery.
OTC, OVCC. Good, OVCC. Nicole Stott on board at this time. All right, that's MS1, and that time GMT is 19:10.
And Nicole will be going into seat 3 behind the pilot on the flight deck behind them, and Nicole Stott will be seated in seat 4 during entry, doing the flight engineer duties that Tim Coper had been previously assigned.
Houston, MS1, contact.
MS1 Houston, we read you loud and clear. Good afternoon, Nicole.
And we can see Alvin Drew, who just entered the hatch, making his way into seat number 4.
TMQC, that's complete step 617, an NA for the MS5 slot. TMQC copied.
NTD, this is SRO on 212.
Right, SRO?
Range status is no-go at this time. Central Command remoting system is partially operational. When selecting a screen, the string will go down. And they experienced this event last night, had confidence in the system as long as they didn't select that screen, that we were confident in the system. However, the same event was experienced when selecting a different screen. They are not confident in the system at this time, and range status is no-go.
Discovery Launch Director, here to ground 1.
Go for Discovery.
Okay, Steve, I don't know how much you've been following this, but the range is having a little bit of an issue with their range safety command system, the display of their command system, and they're talking it actively over there. Hopeful that we'll get through it. Not quite sure if we will yet or not, but the right people are working on it. So we're going to take this one on down to the wire. We'll go through our polls here and take you on down to 5 minutes and see if we can't get you a good flight today.
Sounds like a great plan, Mike.
This is Shuttle Launch Control. 5 minutes remaining in our hold at T-minus 9 minutes.
This is the NTD conducting the Launch status check. All stations verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC, OTC go. TBC, TBC go. PTC, PTC's go. LPS, LPS is go. Houston flight.
Houston flight is go.
Mila.
Milo's go.
STM. STM is go. Safety console.
Safety consoles go.
SPE. SPE is go. LRD. LRD is go. SRO.
SRO is no-go.
Copy. Are you go to 5 minutes and hold?
Yes, we are good to go 5 minutes and hold.
Copy. And CDR.
Discovery is go.
Launch Director NTD.
Yes, sir.
Our launch team is ready to proceed. SRO has a concurrence to go to 5 minutes.
Okay, copy all that. I'll do my poll this time. KC Chief Processing Engineer, verify no constraints to launch.
No constraints.
Thank you, Steve. KC Safety and Mission Assurance.
KSC Safety Mission Assurance is go pending resolution of the range issue.
Copy. Payload Launch Manager.
Mike, the space station processing teams go.
Copy. Range Weather.
Weather has no constraints for launch.
Copy, thank you, Kathy. And Ops Manager.
See, Mike, on our side, MMT's in really good shape. The vehicle's looking perfect. Weather's looking great. We'll stand by here and see if the range can resolve their issue, but we are go.
Okay, copy that, and we'll take it on down to 5 and see if we can't get there.
Yeah, it's a good plan, Mike. Let's keep going.
And KC Safety and Mission Assurance.
KSC Safety and Mission Assurance.
Let's see, if we get the go from SRO, you're going to be go. Is that affirmed? We don't have to re-poll you.
Mike. Yes, we are go.
Right, so we will not re-poll you if we get a go from SRO.
That's affirmative.
Thank you, sir.
Concur.
Once again, we will come out of the hold at T-minus 9 minutes. We will count down to T-minus 5 minutes. Between now and then, if the range safety system condition is corrected, we will continue to count down for launch. If not, we will hold at 5 minutes.
GLS is go for orbiter access arm retract. And Discovery OTC from the processing team of Discovery to the crew of Discovery. Enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all the work you did getting this ready to go, and appreciate all your work. And for those watching, get ready to witness the majesty and the power of Discovery as she lifts off one final time. Ops Manager on 212.
Go ahead.
I got verbal confirmation from the 45th Wing Commander. We are go, and we do not need SRO's go, so I would like you to proceed.
Copy that. NTD with that verification that the range will support today's launch. You need to press on. Pick up the clock on your mark.
Copy that. And SRO NTD, need to put this your hold switch to proceed position.
40 seconds remaining in our launch window. Range is go.
GLS, has the SRO hold been removed? Negative, sir. SRO NTD. NTD, I can remove the hold here at the 5,000.
SRO on 212.
So need to put your hold switch in proceed position.
Hold fire on proceed.
Please see GLS, can you verify? GLS verifies.
15 seconds remaining in our hold.
Copy. Inspection on that will pick up momentarily. CGLS, pick up the clock on your mark. GLS copies. 3, 2, 1, mark. T-minus 5 minutes.
T-minus 5 minutes and counting.
TLT, OTC, perform APU start.
TLT in work.
And CDR, OTC, reconfigure heaters.
Copy in work.
T-minus 4 minutes, 41 seconds and counting. All systems are go and weather is green.
Flight Director NTD. Flight NTD.
NTD Houston flight. I have 2 seconds of drain back hold remaining. 2 seconds.
OTC, PLT, 3 good APUs.
Copy that.
Pilot Eric Bowe reporting 3 good auxiliary power units.
That is hello.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
GLS is go for purge 4.
The final helium purge of the 3 main engines is underway in preparation for main engine start.
Go for Center comes in T0. Range status is go for launch. And what is your status?
We are go.
Copy.
Final test of the flight control surfaces is underway. This is a pre-programmed pattern of movements designed to verify the readiness of the flight control surfaces, the elevons, speed brakes, and rudder. Minus 3 minutes and 30 seconds and counting. Final aero surface checks are complete. Discovery's 3 main engines will be gimbaled through a pre-programmed series of maneuvers as a final test before launch.
Verifying now that the main engines are in their start position.
Final pressurization of the external tank's liquid oxygen tank is underway.
For ET LO2 pressurization.
And we're completing purge of the shuttle main engines.
PLT, go ahead. Clear, caution, warning, memory. Verify no unexpected errors. PLT, work.
Gaseous oxygen vent hood, or beanie cap, is slowly being retracted away from the top of the external tank.
Close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow.
Copy on work.
Orbiter test conductor John Craxton requesting pilot Eric Bowe clear the caution and warning memory system. T-minus 2 minutes and counting.
GLS is go for ET LH2 pressurization.
Liquid hydrogen replenish on the external tank is being terminated as planned. T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds and counting. All systems are go. About 90 seconds away from the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery on her final mission. T-minus 1 minute, 10 seconds and counting. The liquid hydrogen tank inside the external tank is now at the proper flight pressure. T-minus 1 minute and counting. The ground launch sequencer will verify that the 3 main engines are ready to start. The booster joint heaters are being deactivated at this time. T-minus 48 seconds and we're transferring to orbiter internal power. Discovery is now running on its 3 onboard fuel cells. Coming up on a go for auto sequence start at T-minus 31 seconds.
GLS is go for auto sequence start.
And we have a go for auto sequence start. Discovery's onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions. 20 seconds. The sound suppression water system has been activated, protecting Discovery and the launch pad from acoustical energy waves. Go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery. A tribute to the dedication, hard work, and pride of America's Space Shuttle team.
Bypass across the board, Scooter, no action.
tells maybe about 0.06.
Here comes a BN. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Should get it back in the
Yeah,
middle, so
that's
we,
okay.
So we have
Yep.
a good firm idea of what it is.
That's exactly. Text warned us about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you got it up to about 0.09 there, so that's nice.
That worked good. Fingers on it, bud.
Decimal 1.
Move your hand.
Good closure.
Capture fire. Looking for free drift.
Station and Houston from Discovery. Capture confirmed.
All right.
There's exit the crew going through the adapter, the PMA2, and into station. With greetings to the ISS crew. Hello, Sonny Williams.
Atlantis looks great. We're just going from the mid-deck into the
Just
tunnel
floating
there.
through the airlock. Gets a little noisier in here. Now we pitch up 90 degrees. That's the back of the airlock.
Fergie, we're getting the...
where when you do a spacewalk out of the shuttle, that's where you get out into the payload bay. Here we are making our way up into what's called the PMA. Tight clearances in some of these areas. That's probably the tightest one right there. Okay, and we emerge into the node 1. Now, first we're going to look down. We're going to look down into the MPLM. Now, MPLM work is kind of underway. And one thing I find quickly is you have to orient yourself in each module. So down to me in this module is like this. This is down. And the reason we call this down is because when we land, it's going to be this side that faces Earth. So when we think about how we pack things, especially water, we pack it so that it'll be lying on something flat when we come back, and we don't pack it on something sharp so that when we come back into the atmosphere and we get back into a gravitational field, it falls onto something sharp and pops. Now we're going to turn you around take a look back. We'll head out of the MPLM now. And now we'll hang a right turn. But what we have to do is orient ourselves to down in the space station, which is this way. So that's the direction we were initially facing when we came into space station, but we're not going to go that way yet because there's a couple other things to look at here. And the first one is this way. This is the Japanese module, and it is always the quietest and cleanest place on the space station. We have all of our press events right there, which is why that camera's hanging up there. And we're just going to float through here. And we're going to head out of the gym. Now we're coming up on that node I mentioned. And on the other side of the node is the Columbus module. We'll just take a quick look inside there. You can see here it's crowded like everything else. These resupply flights, as they call them, are very disturbing is probably a good word when it comes to just overall station organization. So now we're headed back in our original direction. There's Mike Fossum.
What's that?
He's one of the guys who lives here. So he's, I guess, our host. Say hi, Mike.
Hi. We're doing a flyabout.
Actually, I think I said the last one was node 1. That was actually node 2 back there. Here is node 1. And what I'm going to do is pitch down here. We're going to take a look into what used to be an MPLM. It's now called a PMM, a Permanent Logistics Module. And I'm going to orient myself back to down. And I'm going to go through here and show you just what pandemonium is ensues here because we're moving everything in. So you can see it just looks like a wreck, but it'll look a little bit better before we leave. And go all the way to the back, and you can see it just looks like there's things everywhere, and that's because there are things everywhere. So we're stuck at a dead end here, and I'm going to turn back around. I'm going to show you one more thing that I guess you could call an attic. And we have to pitch up here. And we look into what's called the JLP, or the attic. And that is very, very clean, too.
Houston Station on the big loop. This is Mike.
Now I'll go back down. There's a couple windows here that we could look out.
Go ahead, Mike.
We're going to look out one of them right now.
Let you know, I had put some files on the T drive, OCA down.
Hello, I'm Sunny Williams. I'm up here on the International Space Station. Now, I'm going to say where we are. So right now, we're in the Japanese laboratory. It's one laboratory out of many here on the International Space Station. It's actually on the left-hand side. If I was the International Space Station and I was flying through space like this, my left hand would be where the Japanese laboratory is. So now again, we're on the right-hand side, all the way on the right of the International Space Station. This is Columbus, the European module. It has science experiments all over. You could see it looks a little bit crowded. And here we do a lot of our medical experiments. So this is Node 2. This is a really cool module. Of course, most of these modules you'll see they have 4 sides and they're put together. That way we could sort of work on a flat plane, either a wall, a floor, another wall, or the ceiling. But you know, again, all you have to do is turn yourself and your reference changes. The reason I'm bringing that up is because this is where 4 out of 6 of us sleep. And so people always ask about sleeping in space. Do you lie down? Are you in a bed? Not really, because it doesn't matter. You don't really have the sensation of lying down. You just sit in your sleeping bag. So here's one sleep station right here. I'm going in right now. You can follow me if you want. So I'm inside. It's sort of like a little phone booth, but it's pretty comfy. I've got a sleeping bag right here that we sleep in, so we don't have sort of like a little bit of a cover. We don't fly all over the place. But you know, you can sleep in any orientation. I have it sleeping, feeling like I'm standing up right now, but like you saw, I'm on the floor. But it doesn't matter if I turn over and I sleep upside down. I don't have any sensation in my head that tells me that I'm upside down, so it really doesn't matter. The sleep station is also like a little office. We've got a computer in here. As you can see, we've got a couple little toys. I've got some books. I've got some clothes and other things that make it sort of like home. I'm coming out. And just for reference, that's one sleep station. This one's another, right here. There's one on the ceiling, if you want to call it, right here. And then there's a 4th on the other wall over here. So all of us sleep in a little bit of a circle. All right, come on back. There's more to show you. Here we are in the U.S. laboratory. Again, this is a laboratory with science experience on all of the walls here, all sorts of stuff that we do. And one of the things we also do is we exercise. We have some exercise equipment on board the space station. We need to do that because we lose bone density and muscle mass while we're up here, and that's a result of not having to fight against gravity. So how we keep ourselves in shape are with a bike, a treadmill, and a weightlifting machine. This is the bike. You notice the clip pedals. So all you need to do is actually clip your feet in, and then you can start pedaling. You don't need a seat because you don't sit down. Actually, I haven't sat down for 6 months now, so you don't need any type of seat. Just make sure you're held in with your pedals. You probably see that the bike bounces around a little bit. As I move it, it's not steady and held to the wall firmly. And the reason for that is the space station is pretty big. You saw that there's also solar arrays on the space station. If we start putting any forces into the space station, it's going to make those solar arrays bounce around a little bit. So to prevent that, the machines bounce around a little bit, move around a little bit. And that way we don't put any forces onto the structure of the spacecraft out to the solar arrays. All right, a little farther on. Come on. Here's a pretty cool place. This is sort of like in your house where everybody meets in the morning. After you wash your face, brush your teeth, you want to find something for breakfast. And this is our kitchen. You might notice there's all sorts of foods here. It's like opening the refrigerator. You got all your different stuff that you want to have: drinks, meats, eggs, vegetables, cereals, bread, snacks, and that's a good place. That's where you find all the candy. Side dishes, and then some little power bars just in case. So we have all this type of food. Some of it is dehydrated, and so we have to hydrate it, fill it up with water. Some of it is already made, and then all we have to do is heat it up. So something like this, I'm pulling out barbecued beef brisket. Pretty yummy. Not only is this food made in the US, but we also have food here from Japan. We've got Russian food. As you can see, all these red containers are filled with food that's from Russia. And then we get some of our specialty stuff, some things that we like, some of our favorite stuff that your family can send up. In fact, I like fluffernutters, and so I got sent up some fluff so I could make my fluffernutter with peanut butter. So you have a lot of food up here, no problems. I'm here with my two buddies in the airlock. Actually, these are two spacesuits that are ready, primed up to go outside, as we call it, to go do a spacewalk in case we have to do anything outside. Some of the things we do outside are just like inside, repairs. We have a lot of electrical boxes and machinery and solar arrays, in fact, that I talked about earlier, that are outside, and sometimes they don't work quite right. Remember, space is really cold and really hot, and it's also the vacuum of space with no pressure, and so some of the equipment doesn't work well all the time. So we might have to go out and do a spacewalk. Right behind me is actually the hatch that you go out into space, and right now we have it filled up with a couple other spacesuits because we've got 4 of them up here and some of our tools. But right behind here is the hatch in which you actually go right outside into the vacuum of space. The spacesuit is pretty big, as you can see. It's like being a football player. Part of the reason it's so big and bulky is because of this backside, this backpack. It's like going on a hike with a backpack, but the backpack and the suit weighs about 300 pounds. Luckily in space, nothing really weighs anything, so you don't feel that it's so heavy. But we need to have such a big suit because that guy back there is essentially the heart of the spacecraft. I call this actually a spacecraft. It has all the oxygen for you. It has all the carbon dioxide removal system for you. It also has a heating and cooling system to make sure to regulate our body temperatures while we're outside. It also has a computer, so it tells you on a display here if there's anything that's going wrong with the suit, if we're running out of oxygen, if we have too much carbon dioxide, or any type of electrical problem. So it's a pretty awesome little spacecraft, and actually got to go out, use my little spacecraft a couple times, and it worked like a charm. Lucky that it works very nice. You might want to see what the helmet looks like. It's pretty cool too. We don't usually go out like this, so you usually can see when the helmet's open. So you can see what it looks like inside. Somebody's little head would be inside of here. So you can see, you can turn your head all the way around while you're inside of there, but the helmet stays still. So that's determines how far you could see. And it's usually pretty sunny out there, so we have to wear our sunglasses, and this is our sunglasses right here, which make you look pretty cool. It's like a glass-bottom boat. This is the cupola. It sticks down below the space station. It's one of those places you find yourself hanging out in all the time because all you want to do is look back at our planet. I think some questions I had were about what do you do in your free time? And you can't help but want to just come to the cupola and look outside as much as you can. And a lot of folks, I play this game with myself about where we're flying over the Earth. Try to come in here and just guess. After being here for a little while, you can sort of figure it out. You can tell different cloud types over different continents. You can tell different soil types over different continents. So let's see. And then, of course, there's a lot of ocean. So usually we're over the ocean at first glance. I will tell you in just a moment where we are. There we go. Oh, right now we are right over Africa. It's a little bit cloudy, as you can tell, but we're right over the continent of Africa. Hey, what's that? I think that's a Soyuz spacecraft. That's the spacecraft that's taken us home to planet Earth today. Oh my gosh. We might have to go take a look at that. That's pretty cool. It's a little bit smaller than the rest of the spacecraft, the space station, so you'll see if we go there, it'll be a little bit more crammed. But we're going, you can look all the way back to the back of the spacecraft, which is where the Russian segment is, and then you could look all the way forward to the front of the spacecraft, where the Japanese laboratory, the European laboratory, and the American laboratory. Hey, one thing I didn't show you, or I talked about but I didn't show you, was the exercise, another piece of exercise device. This is what we call the ARED, and with this you can lift weights based on vacuum in these cylinders, just like you do at home at a gym. For example, if I wanted to do a squat, I could do it like this. Oops. I should need some weight on this thing. I'm not lifting with anything, so it's too easy. One of the cool things you could do things that you can't do at home. For example, single leg squats with just one leg, because the other leg, you won't fall over. So all sorts of stuff. You can also do bench press. We have a bench that we could add on here, so you can work on your beach muscles. All right. I showed you the Soyuz. Let's go check it out. Hey, Aki, what are you doing down there?
Crashing things.
This is one of the cool things about space, too. It sort of looks like there's a big old hole here, but you don't even think twice about it. You could just jump over the hole, or if you want, you can go jump into the hole. I'm coming down. Woo! Then you can come right back up again, like Superman. Woo! We're lucky we have a really cool big space station that you can fly around in. That's actually called the PMM. You might have saw it out the window. It's a big silver canister. What's really great about that is it's essentially our closet in our pantry, or whatever you want to call it. We have extra food down there. We have extra clothes. We actually throw the trash out down there. So it's nice and organized, and we have all of our stuff that we need while we're working in all these other modules all stowed in this location down here. And it's a lot of fun to play in. Now that's a lot bigger than the Soyuz. Oh, one thing we need to show you is our patches here. While we've been up here, we've been Expedition 32 first, and then just recently we're leaving. We were Expedition 33. And there's all the crew members who are up here with us right now. Myself, Yuri Malenchenko, Aki Hoshidi, if you can read Japanese, Yevgeny Turelkin, if you can read Russian, Oleg Novinsky, and Kevin Ford, who just took over as the commander of the space station and will be the commander for the next couple months. And he, by the way, is behind the camera right now. So you can say, hi, Kevin. So we're going into the Russian segment. Be ready. You don't need a passport either. It goes a lot farther back than this. We'll go take a trip and say hello to the boys down there in just a minute. Well, let's do that first, actually, and then we'll go down to the Soyuz at the very end. This is Yevgeny. Hi. Doing a little tour. is the FGB, and what's cool about this module, it is actually the very first piece of the space station that came up in 1998. The space station has been around for about now manned for 12 years, but it's been up in space for about 14 years. And this was the very first. It is like the Russians' PMM. It has a lot of storage, as you can see. So here we are in the heart of the space station, really. This is the service module. This is the central post. In case we had any problems, I know a couple of the questions were about what type of things do you have to worry about. And some of the things we have to worry about in space are fire. If we had a fire, if we had a depressurization, like we were hit by a micrometeorite and it made a hole, or if we had some type of toxic atmosphere. We use ammonia for our radiator, so there is a possibility that ammonia could come into the vehicle, and then it would be bad for all of us. If we have any of those problems, we come right here, which we call the central post. It is the main heart of the space station. It was also the first computers that came up here that ran the space station. And so behind this wall right here are these main computers. So we gather here as a group of 3 or 6 and then figure out how we're going to either fight the fire, patch the hole, or solve the toxic spill. And what's cool about this module, of course, it's the central post. It also has great windows right down toward Earth. It has controls to fly in visiting spacecraft if they need some assistance right here. It has Russian computers as well as American computers to help us control anything we need to on the space station. There's a couple of our crewmates back there, Oleg Novinsky on the right and Yuri Malenchenko on the left. And there's also a second bathroom here, which is really cool because 6 of us going to one bathroom is really tough. And so there's one bathroom here and one bathroom on the other side where I showed you. And you can probably see on the wall behind Oleg and Yuri some of the heroes of the space program. Korolev, Sergei Korolev, who was a chief designer of putting men into space. And of course on the right-hand side, Yuri Gagarin, the first man to go into space. So just reminds us of our roots. I'm going to stop here just for a quick second. You can see on the Russian spacecraft there's also other modules that stick out, down, and above. Right here is, let's see, I'm trying to be oriented. That's a place where we do spacewalks from for the Russian side. There's Russian spacesuits in here, and also a visiting vehicle which brought fruits and vegetables and becomes a trash container when we undock. Up on this side is also a future place where they're going to do spacewalks from, and connected to it is Kevin's, Oleg's, and Yevgeny's Soyuz spacecraft. And now let's go see ours. О, извините, это пробка. Coming down. Tricky getting in here. This is the docking probe right here, this big thing. This helps us connect to the spacecraft. This probe actually sticks into this cone, and that's how the spacecraft, our Soyuz, becomes connected to the ISS initially. That is then replaced by clamps, which are around here, that will allow the 2 spacecraft to be stuck together. And then you can remove the probe and the cone. so here we are in the Soyuz. This is what we call the BEO, the living compartment, Bitovoy Otsek in Russian. It also has a little bathroom. It's not as good as the other bathrooms, so we try not to use it too much. It has drinking water in it if we need something to drink. And then, of course, it's filled up with a lot of cargo for us bringing up and also bringing back down. It has a second purpose when it comes back to Earth. It serves as a garbage container. During the descent, we'll get rid of this area right here, and everything that's in it will just burn up as it's coming into the atmosphere, so that way we can get rid of a little bit of trash. But the main area where we were on launch and where we're going to be on descent is down here, because we're not part of the trash. So we're in a safe place. So we're in the descent module, SA. It's a little small, but you can get in. Not sure how well you could see in here. Hold on for a second. I'm going to turn it up this way, just so you could see the hatch, and you could see Kevin. It's a little bit small, but we'll come in and show you around. Just starting to get ready. We're preparing a couple days ago for our ride home. It's a little bit squishy, but everybody asks, how do you sit in the Soyuz? And you sort of sit in your seat like this. The seat is molded to your body, and so you can just sort of squish in here and be pretty relaxed. Everybody has a handmade seat for them. And then, of course, there's a control panel, and that's where we do most of our actions and work right here. There's hand controllers, which you can fly the vehicle with, and there's a stick right here, primarily used for communications when we're trying to talk to the ground. So 3 of us fit in here. Like I said, it's a little squishy, but somehow it seems like we all managed to get in here and fit pretty well, and it's a pretty safe ride home. You're probably wondering, what's all this junk behind us? Well, it's all of our parachute, first of all, and then it's all of our survival gear, just in case we end up landing in some strange place on the planet and nobody's there to rescue us right away. We have all sorts of survival gear with us, keeping us safe in here. So they've pretty much thought of everything. And we'll be home on the planet within the next 12 hours. Pretty shocking.
Come on, we're into the shuttle now, through the primary abating adapter. Making the 90-degree turn. Now we're on the mid-deck. There's our commander, Charlie Hobaugh, Bill Starch. And now we're continuing up to the flight deck. See the flight deck? Commander seat, pilot seat. We got a couple of seats removed here in the back that we'll have for entry. And then we'll look out the overhead window at station. We certainly hope you've enjoyed your tour. Thanks for all the great work everybody's doing on the ground supporting us. Thank you.
Discovery, you can take air data.
Taking air data.
Discovery, you are on energy approaching the hack. Latest winds now 17 peak 25 out of 150, so it's straight down the runway. We ran the energy numbers with the higher peak wind that we gave you earlier, which was the 18 peak 28, still getting you 2,200 feet down. So we'll call it 2,100 at 195.
Okay, copy that.
And if I didn't mention, it's still nominal shoot.
Copy.
Good view of Discovery here, still 73 miles away from Kennedy Space Center and 15 miles up, traveling 1,700 miles per hour with 6 minutes to go.
Discovery Houston, you are on energy approaching the hack. No changes to winds and weather. Go for nominal shoot deploy.
Copy. Copy, Houston, nominal shoot deploy.
Discovery will soon be approaching the imaginary circle leading towards the runway that's created by the microwave scan beam landing system. That allows the commander and pilot to guide the vehicle as it makes its final approach to runway 33 at Kennedy Space Center. There, the commander will take control of the shuttle steering once its speed is dropped below Mach 1. It's at 1.2 right now, Mach 1 being the speed of sound. Discovery is currently traveling 800 miles per hour, 68 miles away from Kennedy Space Center, and less than 10 miles in altitude. Discovery will be making its left-hand overhead turn of 200 degrees before it's lined up with runway 33. Sonic booms announcing Discovery's arrival. It's now just 68 miles away from Kennedy Space Center 27,000 feet in altitude and traveling 530 miles per hour.
Discovery, on at the 180.
On at the 180.
Pilot Jim Dutton now taking over controls of the shuttle for a moment. And that call from Capcom Rick Sturko indicates the shuttle has 180 degrees to go in its turn around toward runway 33. All continuing to look good on board Discovery as it makes its way home. 68 miles to go. Currently 3 miles in altitude and traveling 420 miles per hour.
Discovery, you are on at the 90.
On at the 90.
And Commander Alan Poindexter now back in control of Space Shuttle Discovery. Just 2 minutes now until touchdown.
Houston Discovery, runway in sight.
Roger.
One minute now until touchdown. Discovery's landing gear will be locked down and into place at 300 feet in altitude. It's currently 3,500 feet and traveling at a rate of 370 miles per hour. "30 seconds until touchdown.
$500, $400. Gear's coming.
Speed brake 25. Okay, on the ball bar.
Main gear. Landing gear now down and locked. Main gear touchdown. Pilot Jim Dutton now deploying the drag chute. Nose gear touchdown. That brings an end to the STS-131 mission, the 131st Space Shuttle flight, and the 33rd to the International Space Station.
And Houston Discovery for the final time. We'll stop.
We'll meet you in the post-landing tab. For post-landing, currently no deltas.
And copy that, Scorch. We're headed to 5-3, and I'd like to thank you and your team and all the orbit teams for a fantastic mission, as well as the Expedition 26 team on orbit. And I'd also like to thank KSC, who has given us a perfect vehicle from start to finish on her final flight.
Well said on all, and we totally agree. Thanks, Pino.